What's going on, everyone? In this video, I'll be talking about 3 SAT August tricks that you all need to know to make sure you get the highest score you possibly can on the SAT. And these tricks will talk about both the SAT math section and the SAT reading section, so you guys aren't left alone only studying one session and ending up with an 800 and a 0, because that would mean you're literally in like the bottom 10 percentile scorers. So without further ado, let's get right into it, because I know you guys literally want to watch this video, get all the information, and watch the next video. The first trick you got to understand, and this is a cornerstone of SAT math tricks. In fact, this is the first trick that I ever learned. Like, before this trick, I never understood, how important SAT math tricks are. I never really understood how a problem can be finished much faster. And this trick is called scaling linear equations. Now, when you're given a system of linear equations, right, what is the standard thing you do? Right, you most likely manipulate the equation, so you put it in terms of x equals, then you plug in that for the x in the other equation, and then you solve for y, then you plug y in for x, and then you're done. Now that is the standard way to do it. That is what you're taught in school, but in reality, that's not what you want to do. What you really want to do is this. Let's say you have x plus y equals 2, and you have 2x minus 4y equals 4. So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna be like, okay, I need to eliminate either the x or the y's. And the only way to do that is I have to scale one of the equations and then add or subtract the two equations together. So for example, if you have x plus y equals 2 and 2x minus 4y equals 4, I'm going to try to eliminate the x's. This is how I'm gonna do it. I see x plus y equals 2, so I'm gonna multiply that entire equation by 2. That way, the coefficient of that x and the x in the other equation, which is 2, will match, because the coefficient of the first equation for x is 1. So now I have 2x plus 2y equals 4, correct? How can I eliminate the x's? Well, if I subtract the two equations together, 2x minus 2x, the x's are now gone. So now I'm left with 2y minus negative 4y, which is 6y is equal to 0, which means y is equal to 0, right? So now that I found y, all I have to do is plug it back in to any of the two equations. So I'll plug it back to the first one, x plus y equals 2, which means x plus 0 equals 2, which means x equals 2, done. And most of the times, guys, when you find the value of one variable, look at the answer choices and you see that you probably can eliminate 2 or 3 answer choices right away just by finding the value of one of the variables. And by doing that, if you're able to eliminate all 3, you're already done. You don't even have to continue and try to find the value of the other variable, because you already found your answer. And that's one big thing about SAT math section. It's like a bonus trick, is you do not have to do the entire steps of algebra. Okay, no one's grading you on your work. In fact, your entire SAT booklet can be blank. The test takers will not care. All they do is they get your test answers, scan it in a machine, and see if they're correct. Okay, no one analyzes your work. This is not school. This is not algebra class. It's not calculus. So don't think of it like that. That is one of the biggest myths in the entire SAT math section, and that is what trips a lot of people up. They take their time doing every single step of algebra when you really probably only need to do like 2 or 3 steps to find the answer that you need. And if you guys don't understand how to utilize these SAT math tricks and tips and strategies to maximize your score, then be sure to check out my SAT math course description below, where I teach you all the SAT math tricks you need to know. 6-hour course. It'll get you 800. Now, the second trick, and this trick is for SAT reading, because SAT reading is obviously one of those sections that, the section that is just hard, man. I personally struggle with it, so I can't even blame if you guys are struggling with it as well. So the trick that I'm going to teach you guys for the SAT reading section, this trick is a great way to understand how to think and approach the SAT reading section, and that is the inference question trick. Quick water break. So an example of the inference question, and this is a perfect example that you guys can use to understand psychology of how you should be thinking. Let's say the sentence is, the child went running to the man across the street after yelling out, "Father." So what do we know about this? When you read the sentence, what do we know? We know that there's a child, okay? He's running across the street to a man, and he's running right after he yelled out, "Father." Now, there's a couple of things you can probably, assume, right? A kid obviously has a father if he's yelling out "Father," right? That's one thing you can infer. You can also infer that the kid knows how to run. These are like obvious things, right? You could also infer that that kid and that man most likely has some sort of relationship. Father can mean grandfather, it can mean like father, like who knows, right? But we can, infer certain things. Let's say the child is a girl, right? Some key takeaways we can take are, the child wants her father. If she's yelling out "Father," she obviously most likely wants her father's attention. And we can also potentially infer that the man could be her father, right? These are things that we can say. Now, nothing can be definite because of inference, which means you have to assume certain things. So nothing is definite, so you have to say could be her father, not is her father, right? Because you're not 100% sure. But the things you cannot say are, the child wants the father to find her mother. Where did the mother come from? Where in the sentence did it talk about mother? Like, mother was never mentioned in the sentence. So don't automatically assume like, okay, well, if there's a father, there must be a mother. Yeah, but no one's talking about the mother right now, right? She's not relevant. So never ever pick an answer choice that uses information that is not even provided within the context of whatever passage or selected sentences you're processing, you're studying. So don't ever use extraneous information, okay? That's a big thing that a lot of students struggle with when it comes to inference questions. They use extraneous information that is not even mentioned in the text. Now, another thing you cannot say is the child is 5 years old. Like, how do you know the child is 5 years old, right? Like, where did it say the child is 5 years old? Like, where did you talk about the child's age? It didn't, right? So yeah, you might think like, okay, well, a child is a child, so it must be like 6 or 7 or 8 or 5 or 4 or 9. We don't know, right? We don't know. So you can't automatically just infer the child is 5 years old, right? That information was just not in the text. Another thing you cannot say is a child saw their grandma collapse. Okay, it makes sense, right? You yell out father because your grandma collapses. But the thing is, in this sentence, there was no mention about the grandma, right? So we can't even talk about any grandma coming out of nowhere, right? The grandma could be dead for all we know. So that's the thing. Never use information outside the passage. And this psychology, I really want you guys to understand this. So if you need to, if you haven't understood what I'm trying to say, please, repeat the section of the video because it is extremely important, guys. If you understand the psychology and the way I'm thinking about this question, how I'm approaching it, it will change your life when it comes to ST reading section. Like, your mind will open up. You're going to be getting a much higher score on the comprehension part. And now, speaking of the reading section, the comprehension part, there's another big part, and that is the writing section, right? Now, the writing section, or the reading, it's part of the reading section, but it's a writing part of it. You have to understand grammar rules, and that is the third best trick I can give you guys for this August SAT, is to learn the grammar rules, okay? The writing section is 44 questions, and it's basically a grammar quiz. How well do you know your grammar? How well can you organize, the flow of a passage, organize paragraphs? But the thing is, understanding all the grammar rules will help you probably answer at least 30 out of 44 questions correct, maybe even 35 out of 44, because it's so prevalent, right? It's literally the grammar section, right? So understand a semicolon usage, understand dashes, understand colons, understand when you use a semicolon versus a colon. A semicolon joins two independent clauses, don't forget that. So if a dependent clause follows a semicolon, that semicolon is used wrongly, right? That sentence is malformed. So understand grammar rules, guys, and trust me, it's not hard. You can literally search up SAT grammar rules on Google, and you get a bunch of resources where you just have to study how to use this punctuation, right? And the thing is, it's gonna help you a lot when it comes to college essays, because it helped me a ton. Because by understanding all these grammar rules, I was able to use colons, semicolons, em dashes within my college essays, which made them seem more professional, which made them seem more, like a student who is very intellectually capable is writing this essay. So it's also a win-win. One win for the SAT, another win for your college essays. And also, one thing I want to say is that the reading section is hard, right? So if you're able to get a high grammar score, I think I got a 43 out of 44 when it comes to the questions correct, you are setting yourself up for a 700 plus in the SAT. And if you're able to understand the SAT reading section, then you can actually get like a 750 plus, maybe even 800, right? Most students struggle with the comprehension section, which is why you need to ace that grammar section so it makes up for it to an extent, right? So please learn your grammar rules. If you guys have any questions, comment down below. Check out my SAT math course if you want the 800. It's only 6 hours. You can literally finish it within 2 days. And you get everything you need to know. So thank you all for watching. Peace.